Good afternoon. My name is Joe Montemayor. I am a Board of Homeland Security major here at Angelo State University. Today I will be conducting a speech on gun control in America. The purpose of my speech is to persuade you that we need better control in our nation due to the recent activities, active shooter activities that have been going on. The Fort Hood shootings, Aurora, Colorado, and Sandy Hook Elementary, all these incidents have brought the topic of gun control into our nation debates. What at many times many people simply looked at as a simple day at the office, as a simple day at the office of making a living, watching a new release movie at the theater with the family on the weekend, and simply dropping off children at an elementary school to further education, has turned into a reality that gun violence is everywhere and is unexpected. According to Dr. Peter Blair, an associate professor of criminal justice at Texas State, from 2005 to 2008, there was an average of 5 active shooter incidents a year. Since 2009, the incidents have risen to about 15 a year. Special Agent Catherine Schwake, head of the FBI active shooter team, states, and I quote, "There's a higher number of people being shot and a higher number of people being killed." Okay, I have credibility in talking about this subject because, one, I'm a firearms instructor and I'm also a law enforcement official, and I have done extensive research on this topic. I believe that laws need to be implemented because of 3 main points. Okay, the 3 main points I will talk about is that, 1, we need to limit magazine capacity and access to tactical style weapons. Okay. We need to have more extensive background checks, be stricter on our background checks for people that want to obtain weapons, and we also need to have stricter punishments for gun-related crimes. Okay. I know that many people argue that implementing gun control will not eliminate these types of incidents, but we can try to mitigate them. In his speech after the Sandy Hook incident, President Obama stated, and I quote, "We won't be able to stop every violent act, but if there is even one thing that we can do to prevent any of these acts, we have a deep obligation, all of us, to try." My first point is that we must make our community safe for our children, okay, by implementing gun control laws. Okay, but the way we do this is we will get rid of tactical weapons, okay, and we will not allow the average civilian to own tactical style weapons. We will place limitations on magazine capacities and stuff like that. Okay, Raymond W. Kelly, the U.S. Treasury Department, states, and I quote, "Mandatory waiting periods, bans on assault rifles, like I just talked about, limits on gun and ammunition purchases, like I just spoke about as well, and registration of all handguns slows the flow of guns into the hands of criminals and reduce gun-related crime and violence. By doing this, we can keep the weapons utilized in these tragic events away from our schools and our communities. For example, the following types of weapons were utilized in the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting: the Ishmael Siga 12-gauge semi-automatic handgun, the Bushmaster model XM15 223 caliber semi-automatic rifle, which is similar and equivalent to the M4 carbine that is used by the military and law enforcement today, the Glock 20, and the Sig Sauer. The Glock and the Sig Sauer are usually used by law enforcement. All right. These were the weapons that were used in Sandy Hook, and these are the weapons that we need to try to keep away from civilian possession. Okay. My second point is that dangerous people, such as those who committed these tragic crimes, must be limited access. We can do this by making mandatory background checks. The state of Texas does not require background checks, or does not have a waiting period. With so many loopholes and checks, and even though that most gun owners do utilize them the way they're supposed to be used for deer hunting and stuff like that, without background checks, many people who have criminal backgrounds or they have mental issues, they slip through loopholes and they obtain these weapons. Okay, it is extremely important to implement these type of laws to ensure that people who are buying and owning guns have no criminal justice records or history of mental illness. A 2004 Justice Department funded evaluation found no clear evidence that the decade-long ban saved any lives. The guns characterized as assault weapons had only been used in about 2% of gun crimes before the ban. Okay, Shannon Watts, president of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, states, and I quote, "Ultimately, what's going to save the most lives are background checks. because they can always get guns illegally, but background checks is what's going to keep people from obtaining them. And it's going to keep people from getting access to them. Okay, my final point is that no matter how many bans or laws we place on weapons and ammunition, it's difficult, and no matter how difficult we make it to obtain these weapons, okay, that's still not gonna deter our citizens from committing crimes. Okay, they can still obtain them illegally. So we need to have stricter punishments for gun-related crimes. That way, that would also act as a deterrence. Okay, many criminals still get guns either illegally, they buy them on the black market, or they do through straw purchases, right? And a good win for those for gun control was when Justice Elena Kagan, she actually implemented a law where straw purchases were made illegal. Justice Elena Kagan states, and I quote, "The federal government's elaborate system of background checks and record-keeping requirements help law enforcement investigate crimes by tracing guns to their buyers. Those provisions would mean little if any would-be gun buyer could evade them by simply getting another person to buy the gun and filling out the paperwork." Even though this was a good win, and it's a step in moving forward and making punishment stricter, it's still not enough. We need to make gun actions and those who commit gun actions accountable for those actions and implement consequences. Whether it be a robbery where a handgun was used, or whether it be somebody just playing with a gun, or using a gun to simply scare somebody. Anything that involves a gun or a weapon has to have stricter punishments. And I believe this will help deter more gun violence. Okay, according to a study conducted by Transnational Records Access Clearinghouse at Syracuse University, at the moment, prosecutions for gun-related crimes, gun law prosecutions, are at its lowest rate in a decade. In conclusion, I have discussed how gun control will make our community safer by limiting gun and magazine capacity, implementing background checks, and allowing for stricter punishment for gun-related crimes. These are just a few examples of why I believe gun control should be implemented. If we don't take more preventive measures, I believe gun violence in our nation will continue to grow. Just this week, a 4-year-old boy took a loaded Glock 40 to a school here in La Jolla, to La Jolla Elementary. According to Police Chief Raul Gonzalez, he stated, and I quote, "We do not believe that the boy had any intentions of using a gun. Although it may be true, it still shows that guns are in our community and can fall into the wrong hands, whether it be a criminal or a child." Thank you.